full throttle. And I'm Peter and I talked a couple of times. We connected on LinkedIn, and I was really impressed because if you follow my show, you know that not only are cookies going away, which are little things that are sweet and tasty and not that good for you, but Apple has now decided to, and I think it's going to happen in the next month or two, decided to opt everybody out on device tracking. Um, Firefox already is blocking device fingerprinting, not where you swipe your finger, but every device has a combination of a lot of things with it that reveal the uniqueness of that device. So the screen resolution is sent to the web so that the site can be optimized for the device, and your IP address and all these other things are sent, which means that people have gone that route as cookies are going away. But full throttle, my understanding is lean on doesn't lean on IP, doesn't lean on any of these things that are going away. And not only that, but the thing that really makes me excited is that it integrates with mail and builds that foundation. And I don't want to steal all Peter's thunder, but what's super exciting is that if you're a retailer, you're driving traffic to your web with mass media or with social media or with pay per click, and people are going there and they maybe are bouncing or maybe they're sticking, but you don't know. And and they're gone. Your advertising, if they don't buy, then your advertising is wasted. You don't even know who they were. And without the cookies to follow them, or the third party cookies especially, it's tough to do much of anything. So Peter's tool um, gets, with their permission, acquires their home address, which means that we can follow up with mail, and it means that you're basically creating an asset. You're turning that social media, mass media, whatever it is that's driving traffic to your website, you're turning that into a list that can be utilized over the long term. You say, well, even the best mailing companies don't mail people forever. Yeah, but what if they're just around the corner from your store? You might want you might want to send that address, a 4th of July special every time you do it, or maybe not. But it gives you that ability. Otherwise, you start over, you got to run a new ad, you got to hope somebody sees it, you got to hope they have time to come visit and all the rest. Whereas mail builds that asset. It turns your advertising into an asset. That's good. I like that. Okay, so Peter, tell us, how the heck do you do this? Because I've heard it now twice, and this will be my third time, and I'm still mystified.
Well, first, thanks for having me, John. It's real simple. We focus on the audience, the user. So, you mentioned assets. We like to call it an audience. So, we are not focused on what people are doing outside of your site. You're driving traffic. If you're a business, you're driving traffic probably two ways: through creating or delivering a goods and service the right way, right? Creating equity for your brand, and then you're driving traffic through marketing efforts, whether it's content, SEO, any mix of things. But in the end, you want to get people on that site, and what we do and what we specialize in is three things: identification, marketing, and measurement. And that first step of identification is what really sets us apart. And from a simple location share within your browser, we're using GPS, we're locating that device or devices, and we're only targeting those at home shoppers. So if you're in a commercial address, our technology is going to scrub right past you. If you're in an apartment building and we can't, using our AI and all of our other technology, look at where your device is and cross-reference it against maybe the list of the USPS database and other data sources that we use to help resolve an identity. Again, we don't focus on those households. So what we end up with is a true audience of intenders that were on that business's site, and we're only going to focus on them while they're on the site. We're not chasing them with cookies to go as they go anywhere else. We're doing one thing first and foremost, is resolving who they are with name, address, and usually email for about 30 to 40% of traffic. And then once we have that name and address, we're using our activation through omni channels in order to reach them to help bring them back. So we use direct mail retargeting, or smart direct is what I like to call it. And within 48 to 72 hours of an anonymous website visit, you're going to be able to be retargeting your customers. And when I say your customers, I'm talking about the people that are on your site, the audience that you want to focus on. And then at the same time, because of that identification, we're able to show the true buyer journey from the very first visit all the way through the end. And we add omni-channel activations as well. But what I really like to say first and foremost is that it's all about enhancing the ability of marketers to do their job. Every client's different, every agency's different, every product's different. There's a different strategy, but knowing your audience is always a great strategy. So if you can resolve that early on and employ strategies to target that specific audience, the intenders, the folks that are on your site, you can do it with our tool. And then you can watch them all the way along because we have AI that's studying their behaviors. We have closed loop attribution because we're connecting with the business, and we're getting a sales feed that identifies those buyers, whether it's through their address or a name. We can then tie that back directly to the very beginning of that buyer journey and show attribution. And because we're targeting on such a detailed level, we're watching every page that they go on, what brings them in, all those other factors that sort of make that cocktail, the digital factors, the traditional factors, direct mail, all of those, they play a role. But in the end, if you want to track attribution, you have to know who bought and when and how long they shopped. And we're able to do that because we identify early on,
Right.
because we're watching with incredible detail, which I'd love to show anybody who's interested. Please reach out and I'll give you a demo. And then we're able to take that all the way through the final sale and match that back to show, again, true insights into their behavior, to show how they're behaving, what they're clicking on, what's working, what isn't, what channels that are driving traffic are generating traffic and not sales versus what's generating sales. You can check check into those
Okay,
details
time out,
and
time out. Slow down. We gotta take a breath here, Peter. So you're saying that your clients, whether they're not the agency, but if your clients and your system was built with a lot with in car dealerships and in the automotive industry, but
yep,
the your system is designed to take the sale, not just when Google ad or Google Analytics takes credit when they go to the shopping cart, but
yeah,
that's kind of we hope that worked, and they don't check returns and a lot of other stuff, but um, but yours goes from the dealership back into the system, and so
yep,
then you can cross-reference or confirm that identity. I noticed that there was some pretty high sales numbers on some of those. I don't know if you were showing me just mocked up stuff or if that was real. I don't know.
real life,
That
but I
was
can't
real
show.
life.
Yeah,
No, no, we're not going to show it here. We're not going to. You'll have to get to know Peter. Um, but
yeah.
it was
We take the privacy part very seriously and have, we're always CCPA compliant, Apple compliant.
right, right. Now, yeah, well, CCPA is problematic, and I've done a bunch of shows on that, and I'm probably going to do another one this week, um, because what really it does is it gives people the impression that somehow an individual merchant is creeping them out. Um, do you have any? Do you have And then they want you to send them all the information you have on them, like just for our AI machine learning programs here, we create 230 additional variables besides what they bought and when and all the stuff that we know that they paid for and just incidental stuff to process their order. I can't even imagine what they would do with 300 fields or 400 fields that we could send them that won't make a bit of sense. you know
Yeah, what's great about our tool is that you don't have to do anything with it other
Right.
than take a look and gain the insights based on what your audience is doing and see how effective the messaging that you've chosen to push out to them
Yeah.
is being.
So the way it works is, however you're driving traffic to the website, uh, when people when people first land there, they're asked, as they are on Home Depot's site and any number of retailers, uh, something to the effect of, would you share your location?
Yep,
It's
that's
pretty
it.
it's pretty simple, and I like that this piggybacks on that same phrase that people are seeing regularly. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of our partners already have that on their site.
Right.
So
Right.
really, it doesn't interrupt the user experience at all.
Right. And you're saying, and you told me that 50 to 80% or something say yes to that. If
Yeah,
they
yeah,
don't say yes to, so we're taking that as an implied opt-in,
yeah.
and if they do opt in to sharing their location, then you what do you start with their they're on your site, but
Yeah.
you're saying you don't use the proprietary uh, Apple identity, you don't use IP address. um, how, how do you get it? Oh, their device sends you a GPS, of course,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
that.
So it's location of the device, and
Okay.
then we cross-reference that against the USPS database and other data sources using our AI to qualify every single one of those
Right.
checks, and they pass them all. Then they would become what we would call an addressable household, which is what our audience is comprised of.
So you're
So,
saying that if they say yes, I'm assuming if they're driving around in your car, it's not going to work too well.
no,
But they could come back again.
exactly. Or they could leave a tab open on their device, and when they come back, we'd be able to resolve their identity.
Oh, okay. So that would be another idea. Okay. So
Yeah,
it's kind
and
of tricky, and that's why you're using some sophisticated technology to track this down.
absolutely, yeah, and technology that I don't know how to design, but I sure hope I know how to explain it.
Okay. Well, I think
We
that's going
appreciate
to have to
it.
do for today, because people I watch people drop off at about 10 minutes, and I
Yeah,
never stop at 10 minutes. But let me reiterate, and if I get this wrong, correct me. But the rock solid thing is that we're working with our own website. You're basically mining information that you already could have. You've already paid to drive the traffic. You've already gotten them to the site. Now you're turning this advertising that got it done. It could have been mail that got them to come to the site, but you could have been using a rented list or a compiled list where you don't know, you don't connect that up and you don't plug in the buyer journey. You're just sending them out to the winds, no matter what anybody says about targeted. You might be doing EDDM where you don't know the names, which would be a great way to drive traffic on this program. EDDM means that you're saturating carrier routes. Around your store. So you use EDDM, low cost postage, no list cost whatsoever, very, very economical. But when they come, then you know, first of all, that they came from that program because their address is going to be inside of one of those zones that you mailed. And then now I'm assuming that because this is essentially a compiled name and address, that I have permission to reuse that address. Is that correct?
no, it gets a little
Oh,
complicated
okay.
there, and that's where CCPA comes into play.
Okay.
So we're concentrating on the traffic that's on the site, and we're targeting that traffic in order to help bring them back and bring them into the funnel, and then show their entire journey. And when they buy, matching it back to the very beginning, and then showing them lots and lots of insights throughout that entire process.
Okay.
And
So I'd have to
those,
fight with you on that one. I mean, I'm willing to.
yes, there are ways that you could work around that, but that we take the all of those regulations
Well,
absolutely
I'm
serious.
I'm
So
very, very committed to taking those seriously. On the
yeah,
other hand, there's very little about mail in there, which I'm really happy about. It's mainly kill the email. You can keep it. I'm a
Yeah.
mail guy, and I think this is, we're going to have to explore this more. But I want to thank you for being with me today and giving us a taste of this. This is really exciting because all those other technologies are going away just like that. And this looks like something that has staying power because it's not chasing you around the web. It's focused on the people that you paid to come, that they're there with interest and are interested in hearing from you. And so I think this is like revolutionary for mail to continue as a vehicle for the future.
I agree, and it's definitely we have staying power because we're on 5,000 sites already. So
That's a
we've
good
already
point.
proven that we know that it works. And one of the main things is the way we support our user community, and it wouldn't work unless we provided that very high level of support. It's really a scalable marketing machine.
Okay, well, thanks again, and like and share.